Okay, so this is a little painting from a 19th century painter called Adolphe Louis Castet de Grange. I hope I said that correctly. If not, please feel free to mock me in the comments. But anyway, this is a beautiful little simple painting, so it's ideal for my half-an-hour slot. And we're going to give it a go. I'm going to use the same palette as actually I used before. I might clean it off a little bit. So I've got some Mars Black, French Ultramarine Blue, Alizarin Crimson, Cadmium Red Deep Hue, Cadmium Yellow, which I'm going to clean, Oxide Green. I'm going to probably top up the Naples Yellow and Titanium White. We don't need this pink here, which is, in case you're interested, quinacridone magenta, but I don't think we're going to need it for this painting. So let me just clean off this yellow and I will get back to you and start painting. So I'm mixing some Mars Black with some Alizarin Crimson, and I'm just allowing a little bit of Titanium White to bleed into that. And I'm keeping it nice and loose with some refined linseed oil. And now I'm just going to block in the whole of the back of this painting, and I'm going to leave some areas a little bit lighter and redder where the subject is, because that is how it is painted in the original. I'm not trying to replicate the original exactly. I'm just trying to show you how to do a nice painting, and I'm kind of just using it as inspiration to help you with that. So this one, the jar is slightly to one side, and it is a jar. Probably I will just make it a glass rather than a jar because I don't have time to do all the details. And then it's slightly, it gets lighter around here where the light touches paper. So I'm going to go thicker with the paint, and I'm also obviously adding white, and then again towards the back it gets a little bit darker. I possibly added a bit too much red to that, but I'm not really that bothered because I still think it looks nice warm. And we're going to go down inside the vase. And I'll just remind myself where that goes by just literally going over it with the lightest touch of the white. And then in we go again with the black. I'm just going to cover all this. Like so. I can leave a bit of space. No, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to cover it all nicely. There. Just restating now the darker shadow areas in the painting, and I'm cooling it with a bit of blue over here also, just another variation that just starts to bring the painting a bit more to life, making the strokes a little bit shorter now to just add some texture to this base where our flowers are going to and we do have in the painting, there is a kind of a wriggly shadow here. I'm not quite sure. I guess it's from the fronds, which I haven't drawn yet. Okay, I get that. And a bit more over there. And we may even go in and we probably will go in and restake this. I'm going to mass in a bit of green. Now we've only got quite thin stalks down here because they are marigolds. I've probably made this vase too tall, so I'm going to keep these flowers low over here because I want space around it. As I said, I'm not painting exactly. Now I'm only touching on lightly because these marigold leaves are thin, and so there's a lot of background showing through them, so we don't want to block it in entirely. We're just literally indicating at this stage where our flowers are, and he has a couple just hanging down here also. So I'm going to get my orange now, and I'm just going to block in my first flower is going to be here, and my second flower is going to be slightly bigger here. And we're not trying to get this exactly right yet, we're just mapping it out. And then we're going to have our marigolds popping out over here, and one hanging down here, a little bud of one, and another one there. And then he's got, and we're going to start with a bluey base for these white daisies because it's easier to start with the darker and add the lighter after. So we've got a blue. Well, these are our daisies here, and they're slightly on the angle, so you can't, they're not flat facing us. Right, so we've got that kind of blocked in. I might just use this blue here to straighten that edge, because I paint on an angle when I'm recording. I can quite often end up with a little bit of a lopsided painting. Okay, well, I've got some of the darker colour on my brush. I'm going to pick up some of that reddy black mixture that I had there, and I'm just going to quickly whiz that down the side. And I'm going to take a little bit of a bit more white and grey it up a bit lighter, and I'm going to put that down here to indicate now some sort of depth inside the glass. And I'm going to take a bit more of that also and just restate that. Back to what I was saying about a digital painting where you go in and you restate it. So another example of that would be, I'm actually going to go in and I just want to tighten up that black area there by restating it, giving it a bit more depth. And then we've got a blacky, greeny, bluey area here and inside here, which still has many more variations in it also, so we will continue to work on that in a minute. I just want to restate this darker area down the side, a bit of negative painting, and down this side because I feel that it's slightly bulging, this glass. Okay, and then we're going to start mapping in. Now this one is going to be a little bit tricky for me to do in the time because there is quite a lot of detail in this painting. I just need to go in with a warmer, brighter Springer green in parts. So we're leaving some of the black behind, and we're just now blocking in, paying attention to, I can't obviously go into as much detail as him, but we're just paying attention to the variations. So some of these greens are very bright green, like spring green, where the light is catching. And some of them are this darker phthalo turquoisey green, the bluey green that I mentioned. here. And on the side of that one, catching the light, is the warmer green, like so. I'm now just going to go in with the green, and again I want to darken it, the phthalo turquoisey green. And I could probably really do with a smaller brush for this. I'm just going to start marking in some suggestion of the greener leaves that we've got here. And they are quite small, smaller than that one I just did there. So I'm just really going to be using the tips of my brush to try and create this illusion of these small leaves. And we can break them up with finer details in a little while. We're just sort of blocking them in and getting the flow and the shape and the colour range right. Inside the vase where there's a little bit more of a glow, the stems are just slightly on the warmer yellowy side. And some little leaves inside there. And we can go in and create some darker areas, stems. Again, back to the refining, which we don't just need to do at this stage, really. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to lighten up the turquoisey green, and I'm going to start just refining some of the details up here. Just adding little variations in the colour to indicate these. Just keep working on these little details till we have this sharp image. So I'm going to go into do one of the flowers now, because I really want to crack on with that so that you can see it being done. So I'll start with this underside one here, and it's quite dark. And I want to do that because the other one slightly overlaps it. So I want to start with the one that's behind it, but I am, what did I do there? I am going to pick up, just going to pop in the darker bits there. And now a sort of a mid value range coming in over here. Not obscuring the dark, though. We don't want to obscure the dark. This one's more red over here. I'm going to lighten up that reddy orangey colour. I'm also going to leave it slightly streaky here. And I'm going to lightly work on these petals now. Working them towards the centre and not obscuring the dark. So they're quite going on with quite a dry brush, because I want them to be dry so that they create their own division in texture, if you like. And then just, you can blend it into the darker areas so that you get that variation in tone. But I don't want to do there because I do want that to be darker. And then this one just is catching, just using the corner of my brush to catch the edges and some extra sort of petal fronds just here. Again, you can refine the details later with just blocking it in and getting a general. This one's not even really open, this flower, yet. So it is just little flecks almost of colour. Clean the brush off. Let's go in with a bit more red, just to restate these darker areas. You can bring the red into the yellow. Same here, we've got around the centre a bit more red, and then here, under here. I'm going to wipe the brush off and get a bit more of the yellow, which I'm going to bring into the red here. I say it almost in every video, but I need to get a new easel. I just forget, honestly I do. I forget until I'm sitting down painting again, and then I'm, oh, I forgot to get that easel. And then you have your even lightest bits. This is, again, we're getting into the refinement stage. Not of the whole painting, but just of the... I'm going to break those up even more because I think they're just a bit too bright. I've got a little bit here. Just trying to get that extra dimension into it. Catching the bottom there. Breaking it up here. Catching a little bit there. Sort of just breaking up the edges of things and just creating the complexity of life rather than, you know, sticking to some sort of flat idea of what something should look like. I need to get moving because I'm running out of time. I'm hoping you can see from what I'm doing, you know, how to at least start. I'm just going to loosen up my white, which is not pure white. It does still retain a touch of the blue in it. And I'm going to just start laying on some petals here without covering the blue. We don't want to do that. And then just a little highlighted bit, like so, and then we'll just pop in a muted it's quite yellowy bluey, the centre of these daisies, I guess because it's somewhat slightly in shade. And then this one is just a little bit more yellow over here, like so. And where that meets under there, it sort of goes like that. I'm going to stick with this lighter colour just at the moment to add in the daisy foliage, which I'm not going to try and replicate. Realistically, I'm just going to stroke on some, I just do not have the time, so I'm just going to stroke on some delicate strokes. There's a little bud here. You could, talking about the tightening up, you could add some touches of highlight to create some illusion of depth here. Same over here. And so when you're tightening up, you want smaller strokes rather than sweeping strokes. Well, of course, that does depend on the painting. If the painting's large, then sweeping strokes, no doubt, will work just as well. Okay, so I'm hoping to get into the final stages of this painting now for you. Clearly this is very gestural. And as I said, the refinement is, once you get to this stage, you can start to do the refining, and you can really, that is the stage where your personal taste comes into it. How much do you want to take it to the next level? How much do you want to, you know, force yourself to continue and get real, go into realism? That's really up to you. If you're a beginner, then this is an absolutely fine stage to get to and feel an absolute wonderful sense of achievement. But if you are an intermediate, you might want to take the painting to that next level. And either way, I suggest you have a go at taking it to the next level, and learning also, though, when to stop. I'm going to do a bit more work on the glass. What time am I on? I've got literally 5 minutes left, so I'm going to just try and give some sort of sense of shape to this vase. Has a little touch more of blue in there than I've put in. And then we've got some shape here where it's rounded. And then under here. And actually I notice that there is light over here, which helps. So this is what I would call the tightening up detail. This is where you would go in if you were a digital artist. You would zoom in on your painting and you'd be, you know, taking out the raggedy areas and the loose areas. But I even, you know, I do actually even like to keep my digital art a little bit loose, because otherwise it, you know, it doesn't look, it looks more like a cartoon than a painting. I think it's great practice as well. You know, you can practice digitally without, you know, making a big mess. Although you really do have to, if you really do want to do oil painting, you are at some point going to have to actually have a go. But you can certainly do a little bit of practice on the digital. I do it on my iPad, and I didn't even bother getting the pen that you're supposed to use. I just used my finger. I just couldn't be bothered. I felt that the iPad was expensive enough, and I thought I'm actually just gonna see if I actually really like it before I invest in a pen as well. And I can confirm that I do really like it, but because I practiced without the pen, I kind of just realised I didn't actually need the pen, because you can zoom in. So yeah, your finger is a little bit clunky, but because you can zoom in. So I'm doing some negative painting now to just break up these little leaves here. Yeah, so I could zoom in. So really the size of my finger is pretty much made irrelevant by that fact. Hope Apple don't go and spoil it now and stop you zooming in so that you're forced to buy the little pen that goes with it. You know what these digital companies are like. I doubt it. I think I'm being a touch too cynical there. And as I say now, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to do a bit more work on the flowers here before we, how long? I've literally got a minute left, so I'm going to try and just bring a little bit of, just trying to think what's going to really lighten that up, highlight that up, probably a bit more yellow. Yeah, I'm going to just try a little bit more yellow highlights. I know what, actually, you know what I need? I just need to restate those darks. That's what I need. They weren't. They'd kind of somehow, either I hadn't done them dark enough or they'd somehow stopped being dark. I'm going to be doing some videos on how I make a living from art. Now, that might not be how you want to make a living from art, and it might not be how other people make a living from art. So I don't want to talk, you know, I don't want to say this is how you do it. But I will do a video on how I do it, providing, you know, if people want to know. If they don't, I won't bother, quite simply. So here we are, just finishing just a bit more orange in there. And you can go a bit impasto now. The paint's starting to get a bit thicker. So it's starting to sort of become actually three-dimensional. Restating the colours just gives it that extra depth and luster, if you like. I'm not sure if I lost some of that painting because my video cut off because I hadn't fixed the storage. It was full. So basically what I've been doing is just restating and my brush strokes getting smaller, adding highlights, restating colours where I want a bit more pop on here. You know, going in with my darks also around. I was restating the glass. I don't know how much of that you got, but so just putting some highlights in now on the glass. And I was nearly out of time anyway, but of the bits that were out of time, I'm not sure what you got. So I'm just going to work a little bit longer to show you what I mean by just adding these. I'm just now going in with various shades of green and highlight to just vary the slightly dry. My brush is slightly dry there. Vary the detail. I've got here, I can break this up. Breaking up any big blobs. You don't, you know, so just with the corner of my brush going in and suggesting smaller leaves inside here. And I'm using alizarin crimson here now with a bit of black just to suggest a centre of a flower without you know, going too mad with detail. And we've got a little bit of dark here and a touch more dark in these areas here. So this is what I mean now. So I can really leave you here, and you can, once you get to this stage in a painting, you've pretty much cracked the code, and now you're just going in and just refining everything that you can see with smaller brush strokes. And just a little bit more attention. You've got your roadmap, you've got your painting laid out, everything's in the right place. So now you can just go in and you can do a little bit of negative painting to, say for instance, bring that flower out. Some more negative painting here, just to give this flower you know, a really nice clean background to pop out from. We want to just add some nice depth to the shadow here where the glass is touching the surface, and let's just restate the difference in the back to the front by darkening up. You can even refine the leaves, going between them, cutting them up. You know, here, look, you can cut them up with your brush, creating yet more detail. We can thin down any stems that were too clunky, and that's what I mean. So you can just keep going with that until you have, you know, the painting that you are happy with. Anyway, I hope this is probably not really finished, but I'm not sure how long the video's been now since it got cut off, so I'm going to leave you with it anyway and hope that there is enough information, I'm pretty sure there is, to just help you paint this painting yourself without too much difficulty. And I'll see you again. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure I've got a reason to do these videos. Click the notification bell, share with your friends, and yeah, I will see you again in my next video coming soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.